Welcome back to the channel. This is The Casuals. I'm Jin.
And I'm Saki.
And today's episode is Anime Talks, Way of the Household Husband. That is the English name. I completely forgot about the Japanese name. It's been so long since we watched it anyways. So today's episode is going to be a rather, I guess, short one because one, we both have terrible memories, but two, I'm in immense pain right now. My mouth is in immense pain, so every time I talk, it's almost like as if there's a war going on in my mouth. Uh, but I mean, it's not that bad, but it's still very annoying and painful at the same time. Um, so yeah, you particularly said you don't really remember much about the anime because, again, not to your fault. It's been almost 3 months, I think, since we watched it.
Has it only been I thought it was longer.
It might have been longer, 3 or 4 months. So that definitely minimum of 3 months since we watched it. Not to mention, we also watched other animes after that point, so it's like, even more of a hard time to remember it.
Yeah. I just remember like the title and that's pretty much all I remember.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So I guess this will be a kind of an interesting episode because I'm gonna try and describe things to you, and you'll probably be like, I don't remember any of that.
Just know that if you see me like in person, if we're recording this, I'm just nodding my head and hoping it's not a question.
You're like sweating, you're just like, God, I hope. um, but yeah, so this is, I guess, more of an invested topic by me because The Way of the Household Husband was done by Netflix. You probably don't. It was actually exclusive to Netflix, rather, when it first came out. And the interesting thing about that anime was a lot of people were actually looking towards that anime because it was very interesting. You probably do remember somewhat of the premise of, an ex-gangster or yakuza, they say in Japan, being, his main occupation now is a house husband. Two very, I guess, interesting combinations. I guess you could put it as being a gangster and also a house husband.
Yeah, it's not a very common combo, I assume.
I'm sure there is at least one out there, a gangster who's a house husband, or at least an ex-gangster. Because the world is so vast. There's like what 7 billion people. Well, I guess if you include infants, but let's just say 5 billion for the sake of it, right? 2 billion children out there. 5 billion. I'm sure there is It's very hard to imagine there isn't one ex-gangster who is a house husband now.
Yeah, there's got to be at least one now. Maybe just one. You never know.
Maybe just one. Who knows? Yeah. And so this man, I think if you remember, when he was introduced, he's very introduced as like a scary guy. The one with like kind of like the sunglasses, the scarred eye.
Yeah. Like he looks like a threat, kind of.
Yeah. And then you see him wearing the apron.
Yeah, that kind of you get like a question mark over your head.
You're just like, I don't know if I should be scared of you or if I should compliment your how good it looks on you. Because I think he was wearing the bear. No, he was wearing a dog apron, like the Shiba Inu apron. He had that that was the design on his apron, and so when you saw that, you were just like, huh. I see. I remember your initial reaction. You were just like, huh, because you just
Yeah.
didn't know how to process it.
Yeah, and then after I looked at him at the apron, I'm like, there's an apron from another anime that is actually you can buy one. It's a pink apron and it says, "Please do nothing to the cook." Immediately thought maybe he should be wearing that one.
Yeah. Hey, dude, have you ever seen the White House chef?
No, I haven't.
So there's this guy. So I guess this is gonna be a tangent. I'm gonna bring up this image for you, Saki, just because I think it's so amusing. Um, I think his name is Chef Rush. I don't think he works as the White House chef, right? Or previously had worked as a White House chef. I don't think he's currently with them right now. It's been a while. This is what he looks like.
I have seen that image.
Yes, you have. Right? Have you ever seen the what's it called? the meme with it where it's like, I'll have a scrambled egg, you will have an omelet, motherfucker. And he's like, I'll have an omelet, please.
Yeah, this dude
So,
looks like kind of like Terry Crews vibes.
yeah. So, you know, and I just suddenly thought of that. I remember this, but yeah, that dude is a legitimate person. He is a legitimate person who's also legitimately that buff. Like he is that isn't photoshopped. Whoever's curious about this, just look up White House Chef or Chef Rush. You'll find his name. And his full name is Andre Rush. And that dude is stacked. Like his biceps are is probably as big as my head.
I feel like he might be ex-military.
He is. He was part of
Okay.
the special forces, I believe.
He looks like he was in the military previously.
Yeah. So, dude, just imagine you're trying to like, you know, attack the president. This man comes up to you and just has a pen in his hand, and he just stares at you menacingly. I would run away.
I'd be afraid to order.
Yeah.
He'd be
So,
like, what do you have? And you'll be like, whatever you'll make.
he's like, and then you're just like, do I have a choice? No. And you're just like, okay.
He looks
I'm sure
very-
he's a very nice guy in person.
Oh, I bet. I bet his food's like killer too.
Yeah. For him to be a White House chef, I think he's like an actual, like the executive chef, if I'm correct. Or was an executive chef. Again, I don't think he works there anymore. But he was there during the Obama administration. So yeah, you know, just I guess pulling in similarities. A very intimidating looking person who is good at cooking. That's basically household husband, also with household chores and everything. But it's very interesting, I guess. And the one thing I want to particularly talk about for, I guess, a good amount of time before we even get to the whole plot points is the animation style. So up to this point, Saki, I had shown you, you know, quite a bit of anime, I think, up to that point. And most of them were your normal, you know, animated videos, right? Where, you know, characters do a wide amount of or wide range of motions that is, you know, drawn by the animators. And you see that on screen, right? And this one was different because it wasn't necessarily fully animated. It was more of like a slideshow, as if you were actually reading, like, you know, a manga in that sense. And if I remember correctly, you actually did not mind it. You didn't really, as far as I remember, you didn't really comment it on the animation itself.
No, I thought it was unique because that was like our first one we've watched like that style. So
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting how they kind of made it like a manga,
Yeah.
but in like I guess TV show form.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is that I actually did not feel jarred by the way it was presented, you know? Because normally I think you would be jarred. It would be jarring to see an action sequence of, like, let's just say picture by picture, right? But, like, there's a lot of gaps between those pictures or motions, right? So, like, one moment he's standing up and the next moment he's sitting down, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it was done really cleverly to the point where, you know, what's it called? You ever see those, like, another, I guess, tangent is, you ever see those, like, images or whatever where, like, the words are kind of scrambled, not necessarily scrambled on, but they, like, omit a lot of letters, but your brain auto-completes it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's that kind of same way for that animation style, you know? Your brain auto-completes it. Well, it's like, there's gaps, right? But the gaps are close enough to the point where your brain will auto-complete the motion in your head without you realizing it. So it's not like you're watching a man stand up and suddenly he's 50 feet in the air doing a backflip, and that, you know, that picture only captures him doing the backflip 50 feet in the air, you know?
Yeah, the brain's amazing how it can do that though. Like you said, it'll be like one moment he's standing, the next moment he's sitting. Your brain's just like, oh, within those 2 frames he went to sit down. It's just like your brain automatically just knows.
Yeah, and I think what's crazier is that your brain actually probably simulated that, like when he motioned it, or when he, like, you know, goes from standing up to sitting down. Your brain probably literally auto-completed that, like, you know, motion of events in the head, like, of him actually sitting down, but, like, very unconsciously. So that's why there's no actual, like, thought process of, this is kind of weird, because he was standing up and sitting down. No, your brain just automatically completed as if the animation played through normally.
Yeah, what's even crazier to me is now that I think about it, because it's in, anime, like a show,
Mm-hmm.
it goes at a certain speed, right?
Yeah.
So if the speed of the anime is like a little more fast paced, your brain keeps up.
Yeah.
Like it'll just be flying through sequences, but your brain's just like, yep, I know what's going on. It's keeping up. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. I honestly don't know how your brain does it, especially if you're like, for example, if you're super new to anime, right? Like the one you were with World Trigger. I think World Trigger did a fine job anyways, but like I feel like there were some instances during our World Trigger playthrough where like things went fast, but you were able to keep up even though you were pretty much a first time viewer for anime.
Yeah, I think I was able to keep up pretty well.
Yeah, there was barely any. I think the only trouble you had was like certain dialogues. You know, like the subtitles. That's the only issue you really had. I mean, understandably, because when we were looking at the subtitles, were kind of wonky.
Yes, I remember that.
So I mean, that's not your fault. That wasn't even your fault, anyways. I guess. Like, I feel like if we had used a better subtitle system, it would have been a lot. I don't feel like you wouldn't even have to have pause at all. Um. So yeah, it's kind of interesting and fascinating the way that like the animators probably understood this, right? Understood the assignment and made it that way so your brain doesn't get jumbled up by the sudden like I guess position sets that are happening and differences of change because they I guess obviously they probably looked over their own quote unquote animation and was like this doesn't make sense, let's put it this way instead. Which is really cool. Very rarely do you even see this in, I guess, real life. Because I feel like even in stop motion films, it's not really like super like jarring. It's because it's like literally like, one motion. Like if it's waving its hand, right? It's like cut, 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 cut each time, right? To very small changes, and they take pictures of each single one and then parse it together, So it's more like an actual motion more than actual like, that suddenly he's right hand and then suddenly he's to the left.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty interesting for its choice, and not to mention the episodes were actually really short.
Yeah, I didn't realize how the episodes were formatted. Like one complete like episode technically was like 6 mini episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
didn't understand that at first. So you're like, yeah, we're on episode 35. I'm like, this is episode 3 though. No, it's episode 35. There's like 6 mini episodes in one. I'm like, oh, okay. I missed all of that then.
yeah, for us, I guess quote unquote veteran anime watchers, it's nothing out of the unusual, right? Because it's just like, oh, whatever, another way it's storytelling. But for you, obviously, it's like, wait a minute, I expected one full episode in smooth motion, but no, it's a lot of short stories in one.
Also, I want to throw in there like, I'm used to a normal anime where there's an opening
Mm-hmm.
before each episode. This one there's not really an opening.
Yeah,
So
only an ending, I believe.
so I was a little more confused with that because I was like, oh, when did that episode start? This kind of just was like, oh yeah, okay, next part. But it's so quick you don't even realize, and I'm like, I don't see how this ties into the other one. You're like, oh, it doesn't. It's a new episode. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So interesting enough about that, right? Is that how do I say this? The manga itself is almost like that in the sense that there is no continuity. I mean, there is some continuity, but like that dumb, delinquent, the blondie, if you remember.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
really, really dumb. Like,
Wait, wasn't it like one of the like past members or something? Or
yeah, one of his underlings, whatever. I'm forgetting his name, but he was like really, really like he's hilariously dumb. And like he himself does progress as a character very little, right? Not too much to the point where it's like, oh my god, he's like learn better or whatever. But he's just like he does progress in other things in the manga, but it's not like flowing continuity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I understand.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that generally when animations are made, right? They tell from what I understand, they tell the manga author, right? Or the publishers for that manga saying, hey, we want to make an anime. Are we allowed to? They go through contract negotiations and they make it, right? And there is a director for that animation studio who is leading the whole sequence of how the episode's going to play out and everything. So basically it's up to the animation studio to decide how they want to present the sequence of events, right? Whether it's based off of a novel or a manga. And directors do have a large influence in how well an anime plays out. World Trigger, right? The director chose the almost 1-to-1 route of World Trigger, which is everything that happens in the manga basically happens in the anime. Like for almost 1-for-1. Like if you were to read the manga right now, or if you watch the whole anime, right, and you read the manga up to that point where the anime ends, you would not miss a single thing. Vice versa, either way. There basically isn't anything missing, which is kind of crazy. That actually doesn't really happen often. So that in itself was kind of a treat in watching, World Trigger. If you ever decide to read the manga, there's no new information that was never presented in the anime. In the manga, it's all 1-for-1, which is pretty cool, I think.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because you never really had the opportunity to read it, and I feel like watching it as an anime is also very enjoyable too. Like for World Trigger, I mean, we both love World Trigger. It's one of our favorite animes by far so far.
Action. So anime, I want to add.
Yeah, action anime. So, that aside, World Trigger itself is. I guess I will talk a little bit more about World Trigger. Is that like, and I said this, very rarely does anime follow 1-to-1. It is because it really doesn't follow 1-to-1. Like there's a ton of anime out there where they do skip a lot of info because again, time constraint. How much information you want to get there? What does the anime season cover? Right? They want to end it on a good note, which I don't blame them. It's not necessarily their fault. It's also just due to like sometimes animation studios are working on other animes. It's not just one animation studio for one anime. If I remember correctly, there's like easily like up to like 20 animes airing each season, or each. I guess, yeah, season for like actual fall, winter, summer, spring. Horribly out of order, but each season is has a lot of anime, and so like there's a lot of animation studios that work on it, and then all these resources that need to be put on, and some studios like I want to say Toei, the one that does One Piece, I think has other animes going on too. I think another common one is Mappa. They have multiple projects going on, I believe. I don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's just interesting that I would assume this animation studio does have time constraint, and still managed to do 1-for-1. And they even at the point at that time they even had to do filler episodes, which is kind of unexpected. But they had to do filler episodes because they caught up with the anime, or the anime caught up with the manga. Despite, them following 1-to-1. So the sheer amount of speed, was crazy. And so I want to mention that you probably never, obviously you wouldn't know this, Saki, but the Way of the Household Husband. Did you know that the stylistic choice that the animation studio went with, and that kind of like image, slideshows type thing? It was not actually the animation studio's decision to do that. It was directly requested by the manga author that they do that.
I was gonna ask a question about that, like if that was intentional to make the anime that style.
Yeah, because I remember so many people were disappointed that the Way of the Household Husband, because it's fairly popular, as a manga. And so when it got announced as an anime, so many people were excited because, they wanted to see the craziness of the manga fully animated, right? But, what's it called? But because it turned out as a slideshow, people were like, we don't like this. Why'd the animation studio take it to search and, the animation studio trash? No, it turns out the manga author themselves specifically requested that. And I think, actually, it does pay off well. I actually enjoyed it. I was first thought like I'd never watched it until I watched it with you. By the way, that was my first time watching it with you. Like watching it, and then it happened to be with you.
Real.
And I had seen the teaser for it, right? Like the fact that it was kind of like that slideshow manga-esque style. I was honestly kind of turned off by that too. Like I was just like, I'm not really that excited. I was excited first that I was getting an anime, but now I'm like, I was kind of pervious to the idea, I guess, of watching it. But after watching with you, I really actually enjoyed it. Like I did not mind that stylistic choice because I think the animation studio really did do their best in making it suitable for that type of, I guess, story. Do you have anything you want to add?
Hello, is my mic work?
Oh, yep, your mic is working.
I thought my mic turned off because I was speaking, but I didn't see the icon showing I was talking.
Oof.
Okay, so sorry, I'm back. I
Welcome
guess.
back.
So, what was your question?
So what I was asking is, just commenting on the stylistic choice. Like, what did you think overall? Like, do you think like it was enjoyable to watch despite the unusual stylistic choice?
Oh, I enjoyed it. It was different to me because that was the first one I've ever seen like with that style. So I thought it was kind of cool that there's different. I didn't really know there was different styles of anime. So I thought that was really cool to me. Like I was like, oh man, this is nothing like a normal anime.
Yeah, I think another one that I will probably try and show you in the near future is an anime called Ping Pong. Yes, it's literally about table tennis, as the name would suggest. But the animation style for that is extremely different.
It better be like as good as I don't know if you've seen the movie Balls of Fury with Jack Black. It better be like on that level,
dude,
man.
there's only two things I remember specifically from that movie. Because here's the thing, here's a crazy part. I watched that movie, right? But I had only watched when it was like maybe 30 minutes in the movie, I think. And then I only watched like a certain amount of point where there was like 30 minutes left of the movie. So I only watched like a total of like an hour in the middle of the movie, literally. And I was super young. You know what the two things I remember were? The first one was, this was towards the end of the movie, I believe, is when they were holding that tournament, that death tournament. And they find out that the players do get killed if they lose. And I remember the rally between him and the girl.
The
where
dragon?
like the dragon.
That's what they called her, I think, the dragon.
Huh. Yeah, I don't remember any of their names.
Up against the dragon, and it's like this little girl with like a Dora backpack or something.
Dude, you suddenly reminded me here. No, the other one, the female lead, the main love interest, whatever.
Oh, her. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the actual little girl.
Oh. I kind of do remember her. I don't remember what happened with her though. But the main love interest, like he was like, they were both facing off each other, and they were trying their damn hardest to make to lose, because they didn't want to kill each other, so they were trying to kill themselves by intentionally losing. I remember that, and then I remember there's another scene where there was a guy in the bathroom, right? And this is the strangest fucking thing ever, by the way. I'll tell you right now. So do you remember that bathroom scene where the guy's in the bathroom and then there's like a kind of a guy there, like some gullible dude, right, with glasses, Asian dude, and the guy's like, I was like, oh, would you like any services, right? Despite this being like a gangster, house, whatever, if that makes sense. Like, everyone's there to able to kill you, right? Because that's the way rules are enforced. And he's like, oh yeah, can you take a look at my shoe? I think it needs shining. He's like, oh yeah, sure. And he bends down and the guy kicks him in the face.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
And do you know why I remember that scene specifically?
Did that happen to you?
No, because when I first saw that dude, this was when I was really young, right? I was like, that Asian dude looks so fucking familiar, right? And I only found out later. I was like, this dude looks so fucking familiar to another thing I saw before, right? And I was right, by the way. I later was able to confirm I was right way later, right? Because I held on to that scene for it was stuck in my head forever. Because, um, do you remember the TV show Supernatural?
Yeah.
Where that girl, there was like a girl who constantly would heal injuries, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then there was like, there was like dude who could like, a dude who could what's it called? I'm forgetting all the like they just made it like there was like a bunch of people with superpowers, right? There was one Asian dude who was able to travel through time, I think, or something, or he was able to teleport. Do you remember him? He was an Asian dude.
Honestly, don't.
He had a katana. I remember him having a katana. It's that same dude, by the way. The dude who was able to teleport had this katana. Was that same dude in the restroom? The one who was supposed to be the assistant who got kicked in the face? It was him. And I had watched Supernatural, vaguely remembered him. I was like, I remember that face. That's so familiar, and it's him.
Huh. I didn't realize he was in that. He was in Supernatural.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get the image of that dude. Was it teleportation? No, it wasn't teleportation. It might have been traveling through time. Sorry, whoever's listening to this. Wait, was it called Supernatural? Yeah, it was called Supernatural, right?
Yeah, they're called Supernatural.
Okay, because I'm looking. Okay, yeah, because they had like 10 seasons or something. That was way too many. Like the first 5 apparently was really good.
I don't think I watched that many seasons.
I didn't watch that many seasons either. Okay, well, I can't find it right now. Unfortunately. There was an Asian dude in there who was pretty cool. Oh god, yeah, I really can't find him. I'm kind of actually mad that I can't find him. But I don't know. Whoever comes across this, we're like, you're you're being racist. You're mixing up the Asian people. If I do, I'm sorry, but I'm also Asian myself, so I guess I have an excuse. Anyways, oh, I completely forgot where we were at. Oh, ping pong, yeah, ping pong, the animation style, right? But yeah, maybe I'll have to show you that one day. So enough about distraction. I guess we could quickly talk about, I guess, like kind of like the story. So it revolves about a yakuza who's a household husband, and it's just basically a kind of like a chaotic daily life. I think one of my favorite ones was, or two of my favorite things was the cat.
Yes, I remember the cat.
And when he was taking a poop in someone else's backyard with another cat in there.
Yep. He was like, I'm gonna poop here. And the cat that actually lived there was like, hey, stop that. The other cat was like, okay. Like, hey, I just told you to stop. And the cat's like, he just kept trying to poop. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh my god. So, what's it called? Yeah, that was one of my favorites. And then the second one of my favorite was I guess, well, no, I guess there was 3 things, but I guess the second one was the old ladies.
Oh yeah, like that group he just kind of went into.
Yeah, and they accepted him because he's part, he's house husband, so like he's part of the house ladies,
Yep.
He's part of their daily gossip,
Yep.
I loved it.
There's like, was it like 3 or 4 of them? I think.
Yeah, 3. I think 3 other ones.
3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think one of my more favorite one was the wife.
Oh, his wife, yeah.
Yeah, his wife. Because she was presented as, a normal office lady, right? Who works really hard, and then he really loves her. Obviously, they love each other, right? And it isn't until later that you find out that she's really freaking strong.
That's right. She is abnormally strong.
And I think when you saw it, you were like, ah, I see. That's how she tamed him.
Yeah, I think that's literally what I was thinking too when they first like showcased her strength.
Because she flung him across the room.
Yeah, and then like like later down, I remember she was like really into this one like was it a show?
Yeah, like a kids show.
Yeah, or something like that. And like I think one of their little doll or action figure things broke or something, right?
Yeah,
And he was like trying to replace it or fix it or something.
yeah.
I like that because I just thought it was funny because he was just like, "Oh, she's gonna kill me."
Yeah, and remember, because he was babysitting the neighbor's kid,
That's
and
right, that one kid.
yeah, and he broke it, and so they were trying to glue and everything. He's like, and then they couldn't fix it, so they're like, at this point, we bury it, right? And so they're burying it, and then as they finish burying it, she comes home, and he's just like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just hilarious because like some things you might suspect something to go more of his way, but in reality it doesn't go his way. And it's just him trying to like deal with I guess more than abnormal household things, I guess kind of like daily lives of just house sitting, I guess.
Yep, there's a saying, happy wife, happy life.
Yup, and in his case definitely.
Hardcore.
Hardcore, yeah, hardcore. But oh man, I said it was gonna be a short episode, but I ended up rambling so long because of other the side tangents, especially with the freaking ping pong thing.
Dude, if you show me that, it's got to be on the level of Balls of Fury, man.
But yeah, like so yeah, a lot of side tangents, but still, I feel like it was a good talk, good reminiscence of things.
Things we don't remember.
Yeah, things we don't remember. So yeah, that was the talk about Household Husband. If you come here and you're sorely disappointed that we didn't talk much about Household Husband, I did kind of warn you guys that we didn't remember much.
I call it goldfish memory.
Yeah. Oh, actually, one thing I do want to bring up, the DIY thing that he did at the kid's house.
The DIY.
Remember, it was supposed to be a simple summer project, and then he just made it into a whole DIY where he made their whole wall, like a useful like wall, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool, in my opinion. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, can you do this? Yeah. Takes it to like the next level.
And then the kid's like, this isn't what I meant by freaking summer homework, whatever. He's like, I can't bring this. But yeah, like, this is just another quick. So yeah, I'm gonna have to end it here today. So I'm Jin.
And I'm Saki.
And this is the Casuals Movie. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.